It's so easy to get cancelled these days as a writer. Even if the quality of the writing is good, that was not good enough to salvage these books. These books, obscure by the way, got absolutely bummeled and destroyed and cancelled. And today I want to share 3 of them with you. Alright, so come along. The first book that I'm gonna actually show you is known as The Black Witch. So with The Black Witch, right, you have it's a fantasy novel. You know, the protagonist is raised in a sheltered environment, okay? And essentially, because of that sheltered environment, they have to overcome the bigotry that she has been taught when she was a child, right? And she goes to this university and is in there. She is exposed to different people, right? Different experiences, different life. And a reviewer writes, 1 star, I can't believe we have to tell people that calling mixed race people half-breeds and advocating for the genocide of other races is not okay. 1, also, wow, she writes a quote, wow, my family is a bunch of genocidal racists. Oops. It's the worst plot twist ever. POC or people of color do not need to go through 300 pages of a white-coded girl being racist toward POC-coded characters to know that racism toward us is wrong and awful. This kind of storytelling is written for clueless white people who need hand-holding to realize that prejudice and discrimination is up. It hurts POC or people of color and uses them for the sake of a white girl's character development. Gross. It flattens an issue of power into equal playing field for all groups, which is simply not true in the real world. It's like writing about the real life racism as being the KKK, but not mentioning the US government's role in enacting white supremacist policies that denied or deny people of color rights and make them second-class citizens. If you're going to read a speculative fiction book that tackles racism, this is the last book you should be reading, since it lacks any semblance of nuance and insight into race and oppression. This book is a disaster. The next story is actually quite interesting. It's Blood Heir, and she is this princess, very dangerous. She can manipulate blood, all right? And the author wanted to basically, through this story, spread awareness about trafficking people, right? By the use of slavery. But a lot of people took offense to this particular book. And I read 4 reviews and multiple articles, actually, sorry, two articles, and basically there is the consensus that this story has one issue that Americans take with it, okay? And I say Americans because I want to clarify that basically Americans don't like this story because the book has this notion, right, which is quite un-American for American history, which is that slavery is colorblind, right? So basically, if you look at history, you look at Roman history, Middle Eastern history, you look at, Central Asian history, even African history, slavery is basically colorblind throughout most of history, right? But even slavery, when it comes to South Americans, they were colonized by the Spanish, and, they are mostly not dark-skinned. And in that context, American history is particularly different because slavery in America is a black thing, right? And so this book posits essentially that, slavery is colorblind. And a lot of people took offense to that. People didn't like it. And a reviewer writes, actually, I'm going to read for you. I wasn't going to, as you can see, it's 1 star. July 11th, 2021, very recent. I wasn't going to rate this. I read both installments of this series in April of 2021. After the controversy to give a new author a chance, the writing style and world building do not appeal to me. Often for newish authors, I sometimes don't post reviews for books I do not like. It's not bullying to point out that a scene as written is racist. This author, being from China, doesn't negate that fact. Chinese people are notoriously anti-black. China had a museum comparing apes to black human beings. And this is an article linked to New York Times. The author changes the scene for the printed book, and she needed to, because the scene with May as originally written is racist. The scene is still racist because reading the scene, I am aware of the author's original intent. All the author had to do was make May Asian if what she wanted to talk about was her country's history of slavery. She didn't though. She made May black, and it was an anti-black choice to make. Calling her out on it was not bullying. So that's where we are with these particular books, right? The first book, The Black Witch, then The Continent, and The Blood Heir. These three books were really cancelled to a point where they had to be revised by the author and by the publishing agency, changing entire scenes or making new editions where the story didn't have those particularly problematic scenes, right? So I hope you actually enjoyed this video. I'm gonna leave it there. Have a nice day. Bye.